Let's start with the coordinate plane and these 2 points, -4, -3, and 3, 2. What's the slope of the line connecting these 2 points? And to review how to calculate slope, click down here. Exactly, this slope is 5/7. So then what's the general formula for the slope between the points x1, y1 and x2, y2? If this looks unfamiliar, click down here to review the formula for slope. Right, so the general formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So try applying this formula to the points -2, 4 and 3, -1 and see what slope you get. If you get stuck, click down here and we'll figure this out together. Precisely, the slope between -2, 4 and 3, -1 is -1. Let's plot this line to see what it means to have a negative slope. Here's the point -2, 4, and 3, -1 is over here. So this is our line. If we go from -2, 4 to 3, -1, we move +5 in the horizontal direction and then -5 in the vertical direction. So it makes sense that this slope is negative. Dividing the negative vertical distance by the positive horizontal distance will definitely give a negative number. Now here are a few more lines with negative slopes. For this one, you move +2 horizontally and then -6 vertically. For this line, you move +7 horizontally and -6 vertically. And for this one, you move +4 horizontally and -1 vertically. You know all these slopes are negative because for each line we're dividing a negative vertical distance by a positive horizontal distance. Now as you might have noticed, there's a pattern for lines with negative slopes. They all have similar directions, going from the top left to the bottom right. In other words, as you move from left to right along each line, you're also moving down. Now let's draw some lines with positive slopes. For this line, as we move +1 horizontally, we're moving +5 vertically. For this line, it's +4 horizontally and +2 vertically. And for this line, it's again +4 horizontally and +3 vertically. So while negative slopes go down as you move from left to right, positive slopes move up as you go from left to right. In other words, positive slopes all run from the bottom left to the top right. So for your next challenge, take a careful look at these 4 lines here. Which of them have a negative slope? Nicely done. This line certainly has a negative slope. As you move from left to right along the line, you're also moving down. And this line also has a negative slope. Again, moving left to right along the line, you're also moving down. So next, take a look at this line, which goes through the points -3, 5 and 0, 1. Go ahead and calculate the slope of this line. Okay, let's try some interactive questions. Over here, you can drag around these 2 points. The horizontal and vertical distances are shown, and the slope, which equals the vertical distance divided by the horizontal distance, is shown up here. So try moving the 2 points around so you have a line whose slope is approximately -3.2. Once you've got it, press the Submit button over here. Great, so here's another example of 2 points where the slope between them is -3.2. You know it's negative because as we go from left to right, we're also moving down. And it turns out that a line with a slope of -3.2 is pretty steep. You wouldn't want to walk down a hill with this kind of slope. Next, move the points so the slope is approximately -0.6. Excellent! So here's another example where the slope is -0.6. A slope of -0.6 is a lot shallower than a slope of -3.2. You might feel comfortable hiking down this incline. Okay, one more. Try making a line with a slope of approximately -1.3. Great! So to summarize, a slope is positive if it goes up as you move to the right, and a slope is negative if it goes down as you move to the right. So this line here has a slope of positive 1. If you pick any 2 points on the line, the horizontal distance precisely equals the vertical distance, and they're both positive. Steeper lines, like this one, have bigger slopes. This one happens to have a slope of 5.7. And shallower lines, like this one, that still go up and to the right, have smaller slopes. This line has a slope of 0.2. Now negative slopes go down and to the right. Here's a shallow line going down and to the right, so it'll have a slope that's negative but close to 0. This slope is negative 0.2. Here's a line with a slope of negative 1. If you pick any 2 points on the line, the horizontal and vertical distances have the same length, but one is positive while the other is negative, so our slope is indeed negative 1. And here's a steeper line with a negative slope. It's even more negative, negative 5.7. So for your final challenge, take a look at these 4 lines here. Which one appears to have a slope of negative 0.8? To get started, take a look at these lines over here. Which of them have a negative slope? And to review negative slopes instead, click down here. Exactly right. These 2 lines have negative slopes. So what's the formula for the slope between the points x1, y1 and x2, y2? Right, the general formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So try applying this formula to the points 1, 2 and 5, 2 and see what slope you get. And feel free to ask for a hint if you need one. Exactly. The y-coordinates are both 2, so the difference between them is 0. And the difference between the x-coordinates is 4, so the slope is 0 divided by 4, which equals 0. Let's plot these coordinates to see what the line looks like. Here's 1, 2, and here's 5, 2, so this is the line connecting them. Notice the line is perfectly flat or horizontal, and that means every point on the line has the same y-coordinate. So when you calculate the slope using any 2 points, the difference between the y-coordinates will always be 0, so the slope is 0. In general, horizontal lines always have a slope of 0. Saying that a line is horizontal is the same thing as saying that its slope is 0. So next, take a look at these lines here. Which one has a slope of 0? Okay, so now try making your own line with 0 slope by dragging around these 2 points. Once you've got one, click the Submit button over here. Okay, so horizontal lines have a slope of 0. What about vertical lines? Well, let's draw a vertical line and then calculate its slope. Here's a vertical line, and it goes through the points 2, 1 and 2, 4. Before calculating the slope, why don't you first calculate the vertical and horizontal distances between these points? Exactly right. The vertical distance is 3 and the horizontal distance is 0 because these points have the same x-coordinate. So the slope is the vertical distance divided by the horizontal distance. So that's 3 divided by 0. Now there's a word that describes what you get when you try to divide by 0. Do you remember what that word is? If not, ask for a hint or click down here to review. Precisely. When you try to divide by 0, the result is undefined. There's no number that equals 3 divided by 0. So according to our formula for slope, horizontal lines have a slope of 0 and vertical lines have a slope that's undefined. So then among these lines here, which one has a slope that's undefined? Final challenge, make your own line with a slope that's undefined.